let's look at what we've got here. So first things first, I'm going to duplicate my background layer by hitting Command J, and I'm going to change the name of it to Hidden Vampires, because I find that if you leave these as layer 1 and you have a bunch of files open at once because you don't close your files like me, you will overwrite your smart objects. If you've got one name layer 1 and then you open a new document and open the layer 1, it'll erase your other layer 1 and try and import it. It's a mess. It's a mess. So Hidden Vampire, let's go into this. I want to zoom in a little bit. I ran this on the scanner. I wanted to actually scan it on the computer here. I don't have a movie going on in the background today because things are slow, and I'm sorry for the double cursor, which will hopefully go away when we close Photoshop. Yeah. So the next thing I want to do is I want to make this layer black and white, not just my masked area. The entire thing black and white. I want a curves adjustment layer, and I want to invert it. And I think that's it. So I'm going to go into my curves layer, and just go ahead and get that text as dark as I want it. Very dark. That looks very nice. I want to see, let me see if it'll let me select some of this blue. I don't want continuous, and I don't want to sample all layers. There we go. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and select a bunch of this blue, select modify. I want to expand it just a little bit. I've got 2 pixels. It popped up on another monitor, so you're not going to be able to see that. I apologize. I'm not sorry. And fill it with black because we're inverting. Oh my gosh. I'm allergic to making YouTube videos. So here we are. I got my text nice and high contrast, which is what I like. So I am going to copy and paste that. I'm going to rotate it, and I want it to be pretty even, just to give me less work to do later. And I want it to be pretty big, honestly, because the way we're going to be chopping up these samples, there's not going to be time for smalls. So the Hidden Vampires it is. I feel like the Hidden Vampire, I feel like I did a font at one point called Hidden Vampires. That was from a different, unless, hold on. Sorry. I apologize. I just got to flip. I haven't actually opened this yet. I saw that on the cover. That was the reason I bought it. I've never looked at any of these Where Monsters Dwell comics before, but the lettering on the cover of this one was great. I did a font of this one before, but I don't think I recorded it. The Hidden Vampires. That's damn hilarious. So this is from the cover. This is great. The gang's gonna be all here. Maybe I'll make it a set. That is too funny. All right, so now if you remember, the original type had that like kind of outlined drop shadow, but I'm gonna save that for a rainy day, like when we get back into glyphs. I'm gonna go ahead and save this and get my brush as soon as it's done saving. I want my brush to be hardness on full because I don't want to overlap into the S's or any of these letters, but I gotta get close. I'm just trimming away some of these spots. Not all of them, mainly just the bottom, and some that are just kind of gonna get in the way at some point in the future. And I'll trim by that N a little bit. There we go. Satisfactory. It's the saddest factory I know. Let us select all. I'm gonna zoom in pretty far here because I actually want to try the filter gallery. First I gotta hit D and make sure that my black is my foreground color. And I'm just going to see how this looks with a little bit of smoothness from the stamp. Not that much smoothness, but a little bit. Maybe 5. That gets too much. I like it more rough looking. See that dot in the center of the second D? Notice it disappears when I move from 7 to 8. So I'm going to stick right there with 8 and hope that cleans up some of the dots. Command A, Command Shift C, and into Illustrator we go. Did that get rid of my double? Holy moly, that's a tiny file. Because I scanned it at 300 and it was pretty small at the bottom. This should be pretty interesting. I think normally we've been working from photos from the iPhone, which usually produce a slightly bigger sample. And these letters are wild. So this is like the interiors too. So this is just going to be kind of a hack and slash, quick, choppy, chopped up job. Most of what will get done to turning it into an actual typeface will be making that outline. And then this will probably be the regular version, even though we know that our sample of the regular version looked more like that. But that's going to be like our outline version. Anyway, blah, 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 blah. I've already been going for like 10 minutes, and I haven't even started anything yet. What did I say? Curse of Dracula. Ignore the color. Let's expand. Let's clean up our points. And let's duplicate this and ungroup it. And then let's go borrow. We're just using cap height and baseline. I'm sure I'll be shooting myself in the foot years from now saying, oh, I don't know why I didn't include X height back then. Now I'm obsessed with making lowercase for fonts, and I can't go into my old ones because I poorly built X heights to be as high as the cap height because it worked with setting anchors. Anyway, all right. So let's see what we got. These 2Ds are interesting. I'm picking that one because it's got more of a wave on it. Same with this E. I'm pretty into this wave, which was kind of why I picked this in the first place. This T is cool. With that H, that's a TH ligature all day. The way it kind of wraps around there. This R looks like it doesn't belong. I've got an M and an N, which is pretty nice of them. And I have no O. But I have a V. So I have no O, no C. I've two D's though. So, and this is a phrase that I've done before too, which is also kind of interesting. If you're into following along at home, let's just go ahead and quickly cut these into our shapes that we're going to be using today. If you're new here, then you might be horrified to find out that we do not like to work non-destructive. Though this is a tech-related project, this style of type design, today I'm viewing it more like pottery. And I'm kind of molding the letters to how I want them to be. I probably didn't want to make the D that soft. I do like them being kind of uneven and chunky like that. Chonky maybe is a better word. We are going to grab this E here for our F. Oops. Did the light change? Because I accidentally just closed all the windows. For the G, I feel like this right here. Whoa. Valorem my ipsum. This is how that center piece would work with the G. Again, I apologize for not having a movie on. It's kind of weird. If you think it's weird, just imagine how I feel. Sitting here in silence, drawing letters. Group, that G feels a little wide. I'm just going to shrink it in a little bit, but I feel like that might take some of its boldness or heft away. It's also interesting. See, like, you can see the shape. Top of the F, top of the G. Just unsee that. Or don't unsee it, and then you'll probably be more into my fonts, because I don't know. I would say I clean it up more than most fonts that I see, but that doesn't mean that you and I are looking at the same fonts. So that would be rude of me to say, to assume as truth. Oh. Oh, look at that. It's a beautiful thing. Destructive. Just going to take that piece there in a little bit. You'll notice I skipped the L. That was completely by accident. Which one should I use for the L? This bottom one? And this one? I'm going to ride that up there. I think that looks like a pretty good L, but actually, oh, yes, just tuck it in a little bit. The P feels like it doesn't belong, so does the R. I feel like that T, the way that T ligature works with the H. I feel like that's probably going to be something that we're going to have to kind of carry on to some other letters, like the U and maybe the L. I don't know if a TL word. Exalt. That's LT. I don't know. But TU for sure. Look at that. We'll rotate that just to give it a little bit of variance. And normally, I know we do the R. Get out of my way, Adobe dialog box. But I'm going to try and make the Q with this I, which seems like total sacrilegious foolishness. So how am I going to make the U? I don't really like the way that Q came out. It's not anything against the Q. It just something about it feels off. Like it feels a little too heavy. It works with the O, but I feel like with the inside, for some reason, the Q just feels too heavy in the middle. That feels a lot better for some reason. Let me know what you think. Or don't. Because it's not going to get changed anyway. Just kidding. It might. We'll see. If you're nice and polite. So the reason I duplicated the R instead of just duplicating the P is not because I'm trying to like make it different or anything. It's because the R feels like it needed to smush down a little bit, if that's a thing. And actually, let's bring that out. Rotate just a little bit. And get that in. Ugh! Sorry, I gotta lean back on this one. Destructive. Did you ever used to watch this is gonna be Pee-wee's Playhouse on Saturday morning cartoons? Because I was saying every time I say destructive whatever workflow, everybody scream real loud. This K is going to be happening. Oh yeah, I can see it already. You feel this? It's literally just going to be this V. It's going to trim right there. This is going to ride right up to there. And this is going to go in like that. That is an insane looking letter. It shouldn't even be. It shouldn't even be. I'm going to go up a little bit. Up, up, up. Reach for the sky. Just to get that waist a little bit higher. Make it a little more even with the H and make it feel a little bit more like it's kind of meant to be. But I feel like the K gets a pass to be gangly and awkward like that. Like, just look at the R. Like, it feels like it's part of this set. Like, it feels like it belongs. I also feel like the C upside down with an I is going to make the J, which sounds disgusting, but it's already happened. And maybe we'll dip it a little bit low, kind of like we did on, what was the Whispering Mummy from the Alfred Hitchcock book series we did about a month or so ago. Had those like wisping descenders. Those were kind of cool. How are we going to do the U? With an H and an O. Group C, and then that will drop down just a little bit when we get to that ligature. Our W is going to come in here. Destructive. Ah! And just going to cut it up a little bit just so it has a little bit of variance and doesn't look like I just smashed two V's together to make the double V. Oh, this one's got a... This is about to be dumb. Close your eyes if you're squeamish. So, tucking it in there for the Y, and actually gonna trim that, delete. And the reason I trimmed those is because I want to rotate it a little bit. And that'll also give me a chance to, whoops, pull over a little bit on both sides. I'm going to cut in right there and over right there. And that is a Y because I said so. And this is an X. And I'm thinking I really gotta remember the name of the optical illusion that you use when you make an X, because I always am like, oh, so you do it like, and I never remember what it's called. But the same thing here with the W, because literally just attaching the same letters over and over here. Just got to give them a little bit of variation so they feel new. And our Z, which is going to be pretty simple. I'm going to use this E. Let me get my guides back. Let's see how ridiculously off we got here. Turning the guides off is typically a pretty bad idea, especially if you are me. normally with the Z, I would switch it, but the way this has like an ascending brush stroke to it, that doesn't necessarily work the way it would for other projects. But I think it'll be fine with the N because it's going to be the center of the Z anyway. It just was not going to work with the tops and bottoms. And this will still, yeah. Rotate that way a little bit. Don't group it with your guides. It's a hard lesson to learn right there. I think I'm going to do it upside down like that, and pull this in a little bit. Like it just feels like it's going to fall to the left a little bit. Do you see that? Do you feel that? I think this works. All right, I am going to hit pause real quick, and then we're going to jump to the numbers. We're at about a half an hour, so stay tuned. All right. How'd you like that ad break? Numbers. Let's go. Did you also not completely think the lettering in that ad was pretty awesome? I think we may have a future pick on our hands. That looked pretty fun. Very drippy. That chunky drippy style, I must say, is not something that I ever do extremely well with. But sometimes you just got to do stuff because it looks fun. And that looks like it could be pretty fun to make. So, you know what? Maybe we'll do The Curse of the Blood Ghouls. I've never seen it. Looks pretty scandalous, as most vampire movies are. But yeah, that lettering though, holy moly. Oh wait, these want to be pointing down. See, I almost forgot that. And we are drawing a 3 right now. Oh. We're going to group that. Oh, that darn. That damn Adobe smoothing. All right. So here's a little trick with the 5. Not always true. I would say that a lot of things with type design are not always true. Every font's different. Not saying that like, oh, you know, like the O rounded characters should go, but that like those things are kind of always true. Like you can tell when things are weird. But like how I just raised up the center of the 5 a little bit, like that's not going to be something that you always do on a font, but that definitely helped the 5 out there. Group that. Whoops. And ooh, this is going to be a fun 8 to draw from our S. Just going to extend that a little bit. I was watching Curtis Simpson earlier from the Jectives Typographic News, and he was talking about these teardrop shaped. It's nothing like what we're doing here, but the like teardrop shaped insides on a specific font. I can't remember what the name of it was off the top of my head. I apologize, but I would highly recommend, and it was episode 51 of the Jectives. If you want to go, because I remember he was talking about how he had not spoke enough on the fact that he had just passed his 50th episode. So it was episode 51. And if you don't watch Curtis, I highly recommend it for the Typographic News. It's very, very interesting. It's, I think, replaced a lot of what if you were a fan of like I don't know, any typographic newsletters or podcasts. I used to listen to the Weekly Typographic, and I think it's actually better than that. I think Curtis kind of treats it more like news, which is really refreshing and very informative. Very informative, very good stuff. Whoops. All right, so we have moved on to what we call the fancy characters. Before I do that, I came up with this trick the other day. This is new. So there will be new things that I do. So widening the center of that O. So what used to happen, let's actually just undo that. I would sorry, I am making a mess of this document. I'm going to cut that right there. So what I used to do was I would take my eraser and cut right through them like that. And then I would go into this O and say, all right, go all the way over there. And sometimes I got this weird puffy chunkiness that was a different line than here. But so with stretching it up a bit, now I have less of that. I mean, it's still not the best consistency. I'm, you know, coping with with having to wear glasses, which is a pretty recent thing for me. Always wanted to wear glasses until I had to wear glasses. And I still actually like wearing glasses. I just don't like the fact that when I'm not wearing my glasses, I cannot see to draw or read things close up. Not a fan of that. I thought this B looked great, and now it feels like it's falling to the left. So I don't know what I was thinking. You know what I was thinking? I was using the A triangle shape next to it, so I didn't have like a good base to like look to when I was originally drawing this B. And the P was kind of a weird character anyway. I may have to redraw this B. It's a pretty sad story. Because that normally there's like a lot more work you have to put into that curve on the side, but it felt like, no, this is the way it's supposed to be. Oh, I also had another trick. None of these are tricks, but of just taking the O and widening it and clipping the inside and widening it. That was a little too far in. There we go. D, duplicate, duplicate, make another one. I'm going to trim this C right there. Whoops, I think I accidentally pasted to the front instead of grouping. In the past, I've done this. It's really foolish because Command F and Command G are right next to each other. Sometimes I'll go to group something and I'll hit Command F instead and I'll get like a duplicate. So I'll go to delete that C and there's another one right behind it. Foolishness. This is what happens when you use a program like Adobe Illustrator to try and design a typeface. Because it's not really what it's made for. But I like it all right. For designing typefaces. I like it all right for all sorts of stuff. I'm actually a big Illustrator user from back in the day. That A looks really bad. I'm not convinced by a one-story A. This needs to come down a bit more. And this needs to go in a bit more. And we make it one story because in the @ symbol, the A is like always an italic A, which is interesting. Even if it's not an italic font, it's always an italic A. That is a weird looking A, but it sort of works. And don't forget that this is going to have a weird kind of drop shadow on it also near the end. Either way, those were our characters. Thank you for joining us. I don't know what time we're at. We're at 41 minutes. I do not think that I am going to get this done in the next 20 minutes, but you know what I will do? I will lift up my seat and shut the hell up and get to designing. All right. I guess I will talk. But so in my favorite part, we like to take this. We're gonna go like the Micro Machine Man. I'm gonna group them. Hit A. Move that one in a little bit. Say it with me now. Destructive. And then I'm gonna go and smooth that out. Smooth that one out. Uh-oh. It's time. So we actually have less than 20 minutes because now everybody's about to get home. Group that up. Equals. Rotate that a little bit and group it. Just like how I rotated that without even looking like a freaking maniac. This needs to reflect because that is the way this font goes. Hold on 1 second. Let me see what the phone is doing. Pause. All right. This multiply symbol, it's not going to work. You see that, right? It looks like the XXX logo from the movie franchise. If I was much younger of a person, like a child drawing the XXX logo. Or Dos Equis. That's another fun X logo. I think I'm going to keep the multiply like that. I kind of like how that looks. Also, I think that will also translate well to this part. Get them the same height. Duplicate, duplicate. Reflect. Sorry, I'm in a phone conversation at the moment. Group, group, on to the next one. Which is... -20. Slightly in. So that's kind of fun. And those curve different as they would. I don't That's normally my favorite part, and it just got ruined. Does not look as good. Group that. Delete that. All right. Did you see that foolishness? Just going in with those. I'd like to rotate one of those sometimes. Group them and over. One goes down. Whoops. Select them both. Whoops. Group. Right? Group. Ooh, that is going to stay the same, except I need it to be way thinner. Maybe not that thin, but about that thin. And that is how the fraction is going to work. Group that, send it over, send that over. This is going to get small and up there, big and lower. Just duplicate that real quick before I group that. Over, over, and round. And just going to go in on that side a little bit and in on that side a little bit. All right. All right, punctuation time. It's punctuation time. Because this is such a tiny font, look at this. We're at punctuation right now. We weren't even at the end of the alphabet with the size of last week's. Holy moly. The hidden vampires. They're tiny. You can't see them. All right, so for better or for worse, I really want the period to be a period. And I will duplicate that. And I want destructive. I want the comma. In my head I was like apostrophe, apostrophe. Don't say apostrophe. You're gonna look stupid on video. If you could only hear yourself in the typographical terms you use incorrectly so much. Everybody's gonna think you're a foolish fool. Group those. Did those group? These didn't group. That was a huge pain point the other day. I had accidentally not grouped those. Delete that, duplicate that. Oh, gee. All right, and this is how this is gonna work. I have a plan. That was a good plan, right? Duplicate these. Duplicate that and that. All right, let's get to currency. Whoops. Another thing I do a lot is I will hit Command V instead of Command C and paste things on top of things I'm trying to copy. If you also have this problem, we are friends. So what do we got here? $, cent sign, random dot, because the B is also there. For the euro, I like to slim it up and stretch it out, and sometimes pull them apart a little bit or push them together depending on how the C is that I'm using, but I think that one worked. For the sterling, I'm going to push that in a tiny bit and get it over this little hump there. Is going to go like that, and we're going to use this bottom one because I like the curve of it a little better. Go ahead and group those. What do you mean I only grabbed one equal sign? Delete that. Let me get my yen in order. And rotate it back up. Group that. Zoom out a little bit, and we'll give it a quick pause before we start the next brackets. All right, so last few minutes here. Outline that, Command Shift G. These are going to come out. Go in. Do you see this following foolishness? Let's release the compound path. I should have done that the first time. I should have known better. And this is going to have to tuck just a tiny bit. We're also going to group that and bring it down because I want those to be on even with my baseline and my cap height. Even though that may not necessarily be proper for a bracket, that's how I want them to work here. All right, let's raise the cherub again and get into our next piece, which is our multilinguals. This is also a pretty fun one because it goes pretty fast. OG to outline and ungroup, and then we just go and group these individually as we go. Been experimenting lately with widening the center line in the eth. And I'm liking how that is coming out. This has been a fun experiment, Horror Font Friday, in kind of reimagining the way that certain characters should be drawn or could be drawn. Whoa. Part of me feels, hold on, like this should actually go like that. And destructive. That is our ampersand. That's a pretty cool ampersand. I'm gonna undo that. That was using the pencil tool from that far out. That was just mean. What are we at now? Smalls? We do love some good smalls. So one thing that I found that's interesting with this font, this lettering, see what I'm doing there? So that'll tuck for the TM. This V, I found that these letters need spun around rather than reflected, which is, if you see me do other fonts a lot, I will reflect characters, but these are getting rotated, and it's because we want our, essentially the pen line to stay even. Kind of imagine them as calligraphy, if you will. That looks great. I will delete that piece. That's going to be the final blow right there. Where are we at time-wise? 59, 58? Oh, it's an hour. We didn't make it. So I apologize for keeping you up past your bedtime. Let's just run through the Diacritics really quick. This is the last stretch. OG. And we can knock these out really fast. One, two. That is our diaresis. I'm not going to announce all these because I will say them wrong. And that'll be the end of me. People will understand that I am a fool if they do not already. I think I'm actually going to go back into the maths while we have this open. We're already at an hour. We're already over time. See how I'm making this kind of like straight on? Let's delete this one. This one I will reflect. Hungarian umlaut. I don't know why. So I always heard from German class that the two dots were an umlaut, but in type design, it's called a diaresis. However you say that. Tilde. Ring. Brev. And Oganek. Where are you at? Where are you at? Beautiful. Diacritics are go. So now, while I've already gone 2-3 minutes over, I want to redraw my math characters. Probably just this bit of them. But I'm going to grab them all and go to layer 2. And I'm just going to delete that chunk because it does not work for me. The equals worked fine, but I need them to be more straight up, like Paul Abdul. Much better. Let's duplicate that and get it above. Now, because these are more squared off, I feel like these are going to make more convincing mathematical characters. Group. A lot of times when you see math characters in fonts, they will legit be... Which X looks better? I think I need to cut this down a little like that. It's just gotta be. Works better for the X. But you'll see a lot of when they get to the math characters, they're just squared off. Like no matter what style font they are. And I always thought it was pretty dumb. I don't know if I always thought this. That it was dumb, but like I guess it is kind of dumb to include a bunch of math characters in a display font like this. But at the same time, you know, it's just fun to draw as many characters as you can sometimes. So that was my character redraw there for math. And looks like we have got those all. Something went wrong. Oh yeah, we have 2 equal signs. Let's get that one out of there. Is this recording? Oh, man. Foolishness. Math. Run. Okay. All right. So I'm basically just subbing out these characters. The rest of it we left. So I'm just going to batch. We're going to import them anyway. I don't know. We're going to replace all the math characters. And we will update our smart kerning to fix the spacing. And then we're going to go ahead and save. And, you know, all this kerning is going to be a big pain in the butt when we go to add those outlines. But that's all right. Because that's what we do. Let's take a look at hidden vampires now. The hidden vampires from Where Monsters Dwell, number 17. Is looking pretty good. I like it. The numbers, I think, look pretty good, too. The 3 looks a little weird. The 5 looks weird. They all look weird. But I think once we add that outline to them, they're going to have a really nice kind of hand-drawn look. And I think they'll work really well for, like, if you want to do comic stuff or anything like that. I think it'll look really sharp. And that, my friends, is your Horror Font Friday for this week. Hidden vampires. I will put the picture of the cover on there and we will get that all patched up by the time we post this. I will see you next week. I hope you have a wonderful day. You're great. I'm sorry that I went over. I hope you don't turn into a pumpkin. I'll see you next week. Yes.